Dangerous Assumptions by Butch Troutly. The sun dipped low over Boise, Idaho, casting long shadows across the city's bustling streets. Jake Cartworth leaned against the weathered railing of his second-floor office, a half-empty bottle of whiskey resting on the edge of his desk. He watched the people below, their lives weaving in and out of sight, like threads in an unfinished tapestry. The hum of the city was a reminder that beneath the surface, stories were unfolding, some mundane, others potentially tragic. The office door creaked open, interrupting his reverie. A woman stood in the threshold, her silhouette framed by the fading light. She was tall and slender, with hair that cascaded down her back like dark silk. Her eyes were a mix of fury and despair, a tempest brewing beneath the surface. "Are you Jake Cartworth?" she asked, her voice strained as if each word was a weight she struggled to carry. "Depends on who's asking," Jake replied, raising an eyebrow. "I'm not in the habit of giving out free consultations." She stepped inside, shutting the door behind her with a firm click. "I'm Natalie Thompson, and I'm here because I need your help." Jake studied her for a moment, taking in the way her fingers fidgeted with the strap of her handbag, her chest rising and falling rapidly. No doubt she had come straight from a gut-wrenching confrontation with grief. "About what? You don't look like you just need a shoulder to cry on." "It's my sister, Lily," she said, her voice trembling. "She's dead. The police ruled it a suicide, but I know they're wrong." The word suicide hung heavily in the air, igniting a spark of curiosity in Jake's gut. He leaned back in his chair, letting the weight of her statement settle in. "What makes you think it wasn't? Sometimes people just give up." Natalie's eyes flared with indignation. "You didn't know Lily. She was vibrant, full of life. She had dreams, plans for the future. She wouldn't just throw it all away." Jake observed her intensity, the fierce loyalty that radiated from her. It was clear that her sister meant the world to her, but emotions could cloud judgment. "You said the cops investigated. What did they find?" "Nothing that would raise suspicion, just a bottle of pills and a note. They say it was a cry for help that went too far. But I saw her the day before. She was happy, Jake, and she had a date planned with someone special." Jake felt a twinge of intrigue. The cracks in the police narrative were starting to show. "And you think someone's responsible?" She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a frantic whisper. "I think someone hurt her. I can't prove it, but something is off. You have to help me find out the truth." Jake considered her request. He'd taken on plenty of cases shrouded in tragedy, but this felt different. Perhaps it was the raw determination etched on Natalie's face, or the way her voice trembled with urgency. "What's in it for you?" She hesitated, surprise flashing across her features. "What do you mean? Why now? What's driving you to fight for this? People tend to just move on." Natalie clenched her jaw, gathering her thoughts. "Because I refuse to let her memory fade. Because if I don't fight, she becomes just another statistic. I can't let her be forgotten, Jake." Jake nodded slowly, a sense of understanding blooming in the pit of his stomach. "And money? You have it?" She opened her bag, revealing a tightly rolled bundle of cash. "It's not much, but it's all I have left." Jake took the money, feeling the weight of it in his hand. It was just enough to get him started. "All right, I'll take your case." The relief that washed over her face was palpable, but Jake knew the road ahead would be anything but smooth. "Thank you, Jake. You don't know how much this means to me." "I won't lie. It's not going to be easy. You need to prepare for what we might find." "I just want the truth." Jake's gaze drifted toward the window, the last rays of sunlight disappearing beyond the horizon. "Truth can be a double-edged sword. You might not like what we uncover." He leaned back, the weight of the case settling in his gut. He had no idea how deep the rabbit hole went, or who might be lurking in the shadows, but one thing was certain: Natalie was in this for the long haul, and so was he. As Jake launched into his investigative work, he began to unravel the threads of Lily's life. His first stop was the popular cafe where Lily spent her afternoons with friends. The smell of roasted coffee beans wafted through the air as he entered, the chatter of patrons creating a lively background hum. "I'm looking for information about Lily Thompson," he said to the barista, a college student with a nose ring and an air of indifference. The barista glanced up, surprise flickering across her face. She was so sweet. I can't believe she's gone. What do you want to know?" Anything unusual about her behavior lately? Any fights or strange interactions? The barista hesitated, her gaze drifting to the group of regulars gathered in the corner. Well, she did have a falling out with her boyfriend a few days before everything happened. It got pretty heated. Jake's interest peaked. What was his name? Ben. They were really close, but I don't know what went down. Just that it wasn't good. With a lead in hand, Jake felt the tension in the air shift. There was more to this story, and he was determined to dig deeper. As he stepped back into the fading daylight, a chill ran down his spine. Someone didn't want the truth to surface, and Jake was about to find out just how dangerous assumptions could be. Jake navigated the bustling streets of Boise, the vibrant sounds of evening settling around him like a second skin. He couldn't shake the feeling that time was ticking away, each tick a reminder of the urgency of his mission. The cafe's warm atmosphere faded into the background as he reviewed his notes. A boyfriend named Ben was a promising lead, and Jake felt the adrenaline spike in his veins. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts until he found Ben's number. He hovered over it, fingers trembling slightly. It wasn't just a call, it could be a confrontation. A dark alley of emotions awaited him, but he had to move forward. "Let's see what you've got, kid," he muttered under his breath before dialing. The phone rang twice before a voice filled the line. "Yeah? Ben, this is Jake Cartworth. I'm investigating the death of Lily Thompson." A heavy silence fell, punctuated only by the sound of a nearby train whistle echoing in the distance. "I don't have anything to say." Jake pressed on. "Just a few questions. I'm not here to judge you. I want to find out what really happened." There was a shift on the other end, a barely audible sigh. "What do you want to know?" Jake leaned against a lamppost, the cool metal grounding him. "What happened between you two before she died?" The pause felt like an eternity. "It was just a fight. She was acting different, withdrawn. I was worried, but I didn't think it'd come to this." Jake sensed the weight of guilt in Ben's voice, but he needed more than vague reflections. "Different how? What do you mean?" "She was seeing someone else. I didn't want to believe it, but I saw the texts. I confronted her about it, and it got ugly." Jake's instincts kicked in, adrenaline flooding his veins. "Who was she seeing?" "I don't know. Some guy. I never got a name. We broke up after that, and I wanted to respect her space. I thought maybe she just needed time." Something clicked in Jake's mind. She needed time. Those words echoed ominously, and he realized that the fractures in Lily's life were deep. "Where were you the night she died?" "I was home, alone." Jake sensed there was more buried beneath that confession, but pressing further didn't feel right, not yet. "Thanks for your time, Ben. If you think of anything else, just reach out." He hung up, his thoughts a whirlwind. A jealous boyfriend, potential infidelity, and the shadow of solitude pulling Lily deeper into despair were all pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit together. The next day, Jake found himself at the local high school, where Lily had been a student. The atmosphere was charged with youthful energy, laughter echoing down the halls. He approached the main office, a place filled with bustling administrators and ringing phones. "I'm looking for information about Lily Thompson," he said to the secretary, a frazzled woman in glasses who looked like she had seen better days. She glanced up, her eyes widening in recognition. "Lily? I'm so sorry to hear about her, poor girl." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of the tragedy in her tone. "I need to know about her relationships at school. Any friends who might know more about her state of mind?" The secretary leaned back, tapping her fingers against the desk thoughtfully. "She was close with a girl named Mia. They were inseparable, but I heard they had a falling out too." This was becoming a pattern, and Jake felt the walls closing in. "Do you know where I could find Mia?" "She's probably at the park. She spends a lot of time there to clear her head, especially lately." Jake thanked her and headed toward the park, the sun high in the sky casting long shadows as he walked. The park was alive with the laughter of children and the chirping of birds, but there was something haunting lurking in the air. He spotted Mia sitting alone on a swing, her eyes staring into the distance like she was searching for something lost. "Mia?" She looked up, her expression shifting from surprise to uncertainty. "Who are you?" "I'm Jake Cartworth. I'm investigating Lily's death." Mia's face paled, and she tightened her grip on the swing's chains. You shouldn't be here. It's not safe. Jake furrowed his brow, sensing a deeper fear behind her words. What do you mean? What's not safe? Mia hesitated, her eyes darting around as if she feared unseen watchers. There are things you don't know. People. They don't want this to come out. Jake took a step closer, the gravity of her words hanging heavy between them. I can help if you tell me what you know. She looked away, conflicted. I can't betray them. Lily is dead. You owe it to her to speak up. Mia's eyes filled with tears, and for a brief moment Jake saw the raw pain of loss mirrored in her gaze. I was supposed to protect her. I didn't do enough. Jake softened, sensing the anguish swallowing her whole. What do you mean, protect her? She was in trouble. She was scared of someone. She thought they were watching her. Jake felt his heart race, the threads of this case weaving tighter around him. Who? Was it Ben? Mia shook her head, her voice just above a whisper. No, someone else. Someone older. Mia, please, you need to tell me. I can help you both. But just as he reached out to her, a car roared to a stop nearby, gravel crunching beneath tires. A figure stepped out, a tall man with a menacing presence who cast a long shadow over the park. Mia's expression shifted from fear to sheer panic. You have to go, now! Before Jake could respond, she bolted, disappearing into the thick trees lining the park. Jake turned, heart pounding, and instinctively followed, but the man was already advancing toward him, a dangerous glint in his eye. You don't want to be digging into things that don't concern you. Jake sized him up, calculating his next move. And you are? Someone who knows how to keep things quiet. You want to stay alive, you'll turn back now. In that moment, the stakes had escalated dramatically. A web of fear and danger was tightening around him, and he had to decide, push past the threats or retreat into the shadows, leaving Lily's story untold. With a deep breath, Jake stood his ground, internal conflict raging. The truth is worth more than fear. And as he prepared to confront whatever came next, he felt the gravity of the case shift beneath him. There was no turning back now. The hunt for justice had officially begun. The air crackled with tension as Jake faced the imposing figure, the click of gravel beneath heavy boots echoing like a drumbeat in the stillness of the park. He could feel his pulse quickening, every instinct screaming at him to step back, to retreat. But retreat wasn't in his nature, not when a girl's life hung in the balance. You're not scaring me off that easily, Jake declared, his voice steady despite the unease swelling within him. The man narrowed his eyes, the sunlight glinting off the sweat-slicked skin of his shaved head. You're in over your head, Cartworth. This isn't just a case of a girl gone bad. There are people involved who don't play nice. Jake's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of the puzzle that had brought him here. The last words of Mia echoed in his ears. Someone older, someone who watched. With his heart pounding in rhythm to the man's advancing steps, Jake couldn't help but feel the weight of the unspoken threat hanging in the air. I'm not afraid of you or your people. Someone is responsible for Lily's death, and I'm not leaving until I find out who. The man barked a laugh, a sound that reverberated through the park. You think you're some kind of hero? You're just a bug under a boot in this world, Cartworth. Jake's jaw clenched, anger bubbling beneath the surface. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions. You're right about one thing. I'm not a hero, but I will find the truth, even if it means crawling through the filth. The man's expression darkened, the humor evaporating from his face. You don't know what you're asking for. Before Jake could respond, a voice sliced through the tension. A woman's silhouette emerged from the trees, moving with a grace that belied the danger of the moment. It was Mia, her face pale but resolute, eyes fierce with determination. Stop! You can't threaten him. He's trying to help. The man's gaze flicked to her, irritation flaring like a match in dry grass. You don't know what you're getting involved in, Mia. This is bigger than you. Mia stepped forward, planting herself between Jake and the man, a fierce protector in that moment. What if you're wrong? What if he's right? We just want the truth. Jake felt a surge of admiration for her bravery, even as fear gnawed at him. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Mia, too. We need to leave, both of us. But the man wasn't backing down, eyes glinting with malice. You think just walking away is an option? The truth is a slippery thing, and it has a way of disappearing in the shadows. Jake glanced at Mia, whose expression flickered between defiance and terror. Mia, tell me what you know. We can't let him intimidate us. She hesitated, her voice trembling as she spoke. They've been watching Lily for weeks. She was scared, Jake. She thought something terrible was going to happen. The atmosphere shifted, tension lacing the air like a taut wire. Jake took a step closer to Mia, his voice a hushed whisper now. Who is they? You have to tell me. Mia's eyes darted back to the man, fear painting her features. I can't. Before she could finish, the man lunged, grabbing Jake by the collar and yanking him forward, their faces inches apart. You're a fool if you think you can help her. You don't even know who you're dealing with. Jake felt a surge of adrenaline, the threat palpable now. Then enlighten me. What are you so afraid of? The man's grip tightened, and for a moment, Jake believed he might be lifted off his feet. You want the truth? It's ugly, Cartworth. It's a truth that doesn't belong to you. Suddenly, Mia's voice broke through the chaos, fierce and unwavering. Let him go. You're not going to silence us. The man hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face, and Jake seized the opportunity. You're right. We can't be silenced, not anymore. With a violent shove, Jake broke free from the man's grasp, stepping back to stand beside Mia. The park felt alive, branches swaying in a silent agreement, the wind whispering secrets that had long been buried. But the man's expression hardened, a mask of rage. You think this is over? You're playing a dangerous game. Jake squared his shoulders, the fight igniting within him. I'm not afraid of the game. I'm afraid of what happens if we don't play. Then, without warning, the man turned and sprinted back to his car, the gravel crunching underfoot in a chaotic frenzy. The engine roared to life, and in an instant, he tore away from the park, leaving a cloud of dust swirling in the air behind him. Jake and Mia stood in silence, the reality of what had just transpired settling over them like a thick fog. The park, once a place of innocence, now felt tainted, the shadows growing longer as the sun dipped lower. What do we do now? Mia asked, fear creeping back into her voice. Jake locked eyes with her, determination coursing through him. We keep moving forward. We can't let them win. We owe it to Lily. Mia nodded, her breath steadying as resolve filled her gaze. The danger was far from over, but they had taken a stand. With each step, the path revealed itself, not just toward justice for Lily, but for Mia too. They turned and walked deeper into the park, the weight of their mission heavy yet invigorating. As they reached the edge of the trees, a new sound pierced the air, a phone buzzing sharply in Jake's pocket. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen, and felt his heart skip a beat. It was a message from an unknown number, but the words seared into his mind. Stop asking questions or you'll regret it. The stakes had escalated even further, and Jake knew that every choice from this point would have consequences. The hunt for truth was on, and it was a dangerous game where the players were deadlier than he could have ever imagined. There was no turning back now. The shadows were closing in, but with Mia by his side, he felt ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. With the sun hanging low in the sky, the last rays of light flickered like dying embers through the trees, casting elongated shadows that twisted and danced around Jake and Mia. The message in his hand felt like a brand, insistent and hot. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that the threats were no longer just words on a screen, but living, breathing entities lurking in the corners of their reality. We need to find a safe place to talk. This isn't just about Lily anymore. Jake's voice was steady, but inside, anxiety gnawed at him. He could see the fear in Mia's eyes as she nodded, gripping her phone tightly. Where do we go? They know where we are. Jake glanced around, the park now an unfamiliar battleground. He spotted an old cafe at the edge of the park, its neon sign flickering like a warning beacon. That cafe, we can't be seen talking here. They moved quickly, the urgency palpable. As they entered the dimly lit cafe, the air was thick with the scent of burnt coffee and stale pastries. A few patrons sat scattered at tables, eyes glued to their phones and laptops, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside. Jake led Mia to a booth in the far corner, where shadows cloaked their table in relative privacy. As they settled in, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on them. Jake pulled out his phone, glancing at the message again. We need to decide our next move, and it has to be strategic. They're not just going to back off. Mia's expression hardened, determination igniting her eyes. You think they're connected to Lily's death? The police, they didn't even look into it properly. They shut it down like it was nothing. Jake leaned forward, lowering his voice. There are too many coincidences. The man we confronted, he's not just some random guy. He was too defensive, too aggressive. Someone's protecting something, and we're in the way. Mia's grip on her phone tightened, her knuckles white. What if they come after us? What if we get too close and... The fear clawing at her voice was palpable. That's a risk we have to take. If we don't find out the truth, we'll never know what happened to Lily, and those responsible will keep hurting others. Mia took a deep breath, her resolve returning. So what's the plan? Do we go to the police again? Maybe, if we confront them with what we know. Jake shook his head. Not yet. We need more evidence, something concrete they can't ignore. Let's dig into this man's life. If he's connected, maybe there are records, something that can tie him to Lily. Mia nodded slowly, a flicker of hope igniting. And if he catches wind of us looking? Then we outsmart him. I'll keep you safe, Mia. I promise. Just then, the cafe door swung open and a familiar figure walked in, Detective Lila Hart. She looked around, spotting Jake and Mia in their booth. Her expression shifted from surprise to annoyance, and she approached them, her badge clipped to her belt like an anchor. What the hell are you two doing here? I thought I made it clear to you, Cartworth, to stay out of this. Jake met her gaze, unflinching. You also made it clear that you weren't going to investigate Lily's case. We're not backing down, Lila. She sighed, glancing around before lowering her voice. You're playing with fire. There are things you don't understand. You don't know who you're dealing with. Mia leaned forward, the fire of her earlier resolve rekindling. Then help us. If you know something, if you're really trying to protect us, just tell us. Lila's eyes darted to the entrance as if expecting someone to walk in, and her expression grew more serious. You need to be careful. This isn't just about a dead girl anymore. It's about loyalty, power, things that run deeper than you can imagine. They will come for you. Jake cut in, his tone firm. What do you know about the man we confronted? He's hiding something. Lila hesitated, her lips tightening as she weighed her options. Finally, she leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. He's connected to a group that's been under investigation for a while. They don't play nice, and they don't take kindly to people poking into their business. If you're pulling at threads, you could unravel a lot more than you bargained for. Mia's eyes widened, the realization dawning. So he's not just some random guy? He's involved in something bigger? Lila nodded, her expression grave. Bigger and darker. Just remember, if you push too hard, you might not like what you find. Some things are buried for a reason. As she turned to leave, a shadow crossed her face, a hint of fear lingering in her eyes. Jake felt the room close in around him, the stakes spiraling further out of control. We need to be careful, but we can't back down now. We're too close to the truth. Mia's phone buzzed again, a chilling reminder of their precarious situation. She looked down, her face paling as she read the new message. It's from the same number. It says, "You're being watched. Leave this alone." Jake's heart raced, adrenaline flooding his system. Then we push harder, we find a way to expose them before it's too late. The cafe felt as though it was closing in around them, shadows creeping ever closer. The threat was real, and they were in deeper than they ever intended to go. But as Jake looked at Mia, he saw the flicker of unyielding determination mirrored back at him. Together, they would fight for Lily's truth, no matter the cost. Let's go. We're not done yet. With that, they stepped back into the evening air, ready to face whatever shadows awaited them, the hunt for justice igniting a fire that would not be extinguished. The night air in Boise had turned thin and sharp, each breath laced with the weight of their mission. Jake and Mia walked side by side, their minds racing as they navigated the dimly lit streets, the glow of the city around them feeling both inviting and suffocating. The shadows seemed to stretch, hinting that they weren't the only ones prowling the night. Jake broke the silence, his voice low but laced with conviction. We need a plan. If Lila's right, we're poking the bear. We can't just keep chasing leads without a strategy. Mia nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. We should track down any other connections Lily had. The more we know about her life, the easier it'll be to expose the truth. As they approached the alley where Lily was last seen, the atmosphere thickened. The ghosts of past laughter and whispers hung heavy in the air. Jake pulled out his phone, searching for the contact information of Lily's closest friends. Let's start with her inner circle. They might know something that the police overlooked. A few moments passed as Mia scrolled through her own phone, trying to piece together the puzzle. There's a girl named Ava. They were best friends. She might know why Lily was in that cafe that night. Jake felt a surge of urgency. Let's meet her, now. They didn't waste time. Minutes later, they found themselves in front of a small apartment complex, its unlit windows offering no comfort. They climbed the stairs to the second floor, and Mia knocked on the door marked with a faded number 204. A moment later, it creaked open, revealing a girl with tear-streaked cheeks and haunted eyes. Ava looked fragile, as if the mere act of standing was a burden. "What do you want?" Jake stepped forward, taking a breath to steady himself. "We're here about Lily. We need to know what happened." Ava hesitated, her gaze shifting between them. "The police already said it was a suicide. There's nothing to talk about." Mia's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "But what if it wasn't? What if she was in danger? We need your help to figure it out." Ava's defenses crumbled, and she stepped back, allowing them inside. The air was stale, filled with the scent of unwashed laundry and unspoken grief. As they settled onto a worn couch, Ava's voice trembled. "Lily was scared. She told me she was being followed but wouldn't say by whom. I thought she was just stressed about school, but now..." Jake leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concern. "Did she mention anything specific? Any names, places?" Ava bit her lip, her mind racing through memories. "She started hanging out with some new friends. Guys I didn't know. She said they were fun, but I had a bad feeling about them. They were involved in something dangerous." Mia exchanged a glance with Jake, the pieces of the puzzle starting to come together. "Did she ever mention where they'd be?" Ava nodded slowly. "There's an old warehouse by the river. She said they sometimes hung out there. I thought it was just a joke." Jake felt the adrenaline rush through him. "We need to check it out. If there's something there, it could lead us right to the heart of this." Ava reached out, her expression pleading. "You need to be careful. If they are the people behind what happened to Lily, they won't hesitate to hurt you too." Jake stood, determination solidifying in his chest. "We have to take that risk, for Lily." He turned to Mia, whose eyes were filled with resolve. "Let's go. We're running out of time." As they stepped back out into the night, the urgency of their mission pulsed in the air around them. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, but it was the truth they were after, no matter the cost. The shadows were no longer merely lurking behind them. They were pushing forward, and Jake was ready to confront whatever lay ahead. With the river's murmur echoing in the distance, they forged on, the fire of justice igniting in their hearts. Refusing to let Lily's story fade into silence. "We will find out what happened, I promise." And with that, they moved forward, into the unknown, driven by the need for answers, for closure, for vengeance. It was a dangerous game they played, but for Lily, it was worth every risk. The night was just beginning. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about my listening library.